when you look at the enemy lineup right now, first of all, look at the lane matchup, right? Most likely you're up against an Invoker. So that's completely fine, and Tinker actually does really well. Everybody does well against Invoker, to be honest, so it doesn't really matter.
Much.
As far as the other things are concerned, you've actually got a sniper. You've got a pretty decent lineup. You just don't. You guys are missing an initiation hero, a tank hero. So that's kind of really rough. I guess you do have a semi-tank in the Pudge, but you guys are seriously missing a tank hero, somebody who can stun as well. You're missing some AoE stun, like Lina's AoE stun and Jakiro's AoE stun are quite unreliable.
Right.
Like compare that to what's his name, Slardar and Sand King. Those are reliable AoE stuns, right?
Right.
Even though they might be smaller, or rather Slardar's is smaller, but they are very, very much reliable stuns. Carry-wise, they've got a PA, like both Sniper and Tinker, their weaknesses are any hero who can get on top of them, and that's exactly what PA can do. But the benefit here is that there's two heroes who PA needs to jump on. So that means that she's either going to go on Sniper or she's going to go on you. That means that whichever one she doesn't go on can deal shit tons of damage. So that's good. Right, one of you is going to get wrecked, but it's fine because there's two of you to deal lots of damage. So lineup-wise, I think both of these teams is a very rare occurrence in the 2K bracket that both teams have more or less a very, very even sort of a lineup. Now, looking at the timing windows, Invoker comes online late, very late, similar to Sniper really. Tinker comes online late as well. I'd say medium game, in the mid game. Rather, I think Tinker and Invoker are relatively similar. I think Sniper comes online slightly later than PA, but it's completely fine because you do have the Pudge in the early game to make space, whereas these guys don't necessarily have anybody to make space, but they do have the Omni Knight to sustain the harass from Pudge, and this team is a very decent lineup, a very decent team fight. I guess the only thing that your team lacks a little bit is team fight. So maybe if you look at this particular situation that your team lacks team fight, you might want to build items according to that, but that's only for a very, very, very high level game. Like even in like 3K games, I wouldn't recommend doing anything. Like when I say team fight, I'm talking about Ags. Ags is a fantastic team fight item. When we look at this particular game, I think going any sort of a build is just okay. You just need lots of farm in the early game. I think just don't go for a laser rocket build, or go for a laser rocket build just because in the 2K bracket you are going to be able to completely wreck the Invoker. There isn't actually a roaming hero in the enemy team, so you're not going to get wrecked in the lane. So you don't need to rely on Marshal the Machines farming in the jungle to get your gold comeback and whatnot. Starting items, you went for 2 Fairy Fires and 1 Tango. I don't like that very much because when you do go for shared Tangos, you really need an Ironwood branch, because what you don't want right now, you've only got 115 extra, let's say 100 extra regen, right? That's not very good. At least with the Ironwood branch, that's twice as much. Rather than you get like 230 extra HP. Now the bigger benefit of having Ironwood branch is that you can plant it and eat it, and that's really, really good. Fairy Fire, yes, you can use it once to get a 75, but then it's on a cooldown for 5 seconds, so you can't use it twice in an engagement. You're missing
I guess that game, I went 2 Fairy Fires and a shared Tango because, honestly, I was either expecting a PA or Invoker mid, which PA would put out so much harass, and I felt like if she got too greedy, then I could just Fairy Fire up, laser her, and just burst her down with magic damage. But I guess that wasn't the right.
If there's a PA, then you want to get. The thing is that there's an Invoker and a PA, so the Invoker isn't going to go safe lane. So it's a very, very safe bet that PA is not going to be in the mid lane. Regardless, let's assume that it was an Invoker, it was another hero who could have gone carry, right? So in that case, you definitely don't want to go 2 Fairy Fires. What you want to go is just nothing. Just get a shared Tango, maybe buy an Ironwood branch, and just don't go for anything. And then as soon as you have the rune and you have 200 gold, just get a stick. because that's going to be sufficient really in lane. And maybe even before you upgrade the bottle, you get the full wand, because it's not only going to give you the obviously 17 charges, but it's also going to give you extra stats for better lasting and better HP and all that stuff.
Okay.
And in fact, if you notice, a lot of especially these days, it's very, very common, higher level players, very much like 7K, 6K professional players, they will go for double nulls and double stat items. Even like I've often seen Sumail on Invoker go for a null and then a full magic wand before he goes for any other items. Like even when they're gonna go bottle, they go for these stat items before. I don't recommend copying pro players. I'm just saying that there are reasons why you can go for a bit of a unusual build, even though that's not very unusual, but it's just a bit of an unusual build, and you need to consider that. Don't be afraid to go for unusual build. Like this build is a little bit unusual, but it's not unusual in the right. I mean, you had an idea, but it's just your idea. The idea that you had, very dangerous, very bad decision. This is something I want to talk about. The idea that you had. If fairy fires, if you could pop both the fairy fires immediately, then it would have been a good idea. But it's just the 5-second cooldown that makes it completely useless.
Right.
Alright, the reason why this was a bad idea is because yes, you laser this guy and then he can't attack you, but keep in mind, you're right-clicking him, you're doing 70 damage, less than 70, you're doing about 60 damage to him depending on his armor, which is 2 armor, so it's 15% less. But there are 5 creeps hitting you. Each creep hits you for 20 damage per second, depending on your armor. Obviously, it's 20% less, so it's 16 damage per second. There's 5 of them, so there's like that. They're doing 80 damage per second to you. They're doing more damage to you than you are to him. So getting right-clicked by the creeps right now, you've got 600 HP. You're gonna take, more than 100, about 100 HP damage from the creep, and all you did was one right click to an invoker, which was like what, 60-ish damage. So definitely not worth it. You could have lasered him and just gotten back. Look at that. Now you're gonna take right clicks from the tower. You're dead.
Yeah, I sort of.
That was so.
That was unpredictable at that point. I don't know what I did there.
Yeah, no, I know what you did there. You got greedy.
It gets better.
You got greedy. That's literally all that is. It's very important not to lose your lane or to a solo person, like solo 1v1. You don't want to lose your lane, because not only does it put you really far behind, because look at this situation right now. This guy's at the top, and now you're at like number 4. Not only does it actually put you at a really bad disadvantage, but also now, not motivation, but you. Psychologically at a disadvantage as well, because now you're slightly tilting. You lasered the creep.
Right, yeah.
You wouldn't have lasered that creep if you hadn't died, because now you're under pressure. You're like, oh god, I died. I'm at a disadvantage. I should have had bottle by now.
I was actually pretty tilted that game, yeah.
Yeah, so you want to stay calm. You want to stay patient. Don't try to go for kills. Don't try to go for harass. Your job. You're a farming core. You're a farming mid hero. Yeah, you're right. Your job is not to make space. You're not a puck or something. Your job is not to create space. Your job is not to harass the enemy mid laner or damage him or stop him from farming. Your job is to farm, right? And you're gonna miss this last hit. That's a 50 gold. This 50 gold that you missed just because you wanted to do a little bit more damage to him. That's bad decisions right there. You have to understand that you are playing a farming core and play according to that.